Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Miss Collins gracefully let bygones be bygones, and Stewart could hardly contain his happiness. Soon enough, Stewart brought over a gift box that looked even larger than a cake box, adding, "This is something Sean had specially delivered just now." It was the fruit of their brainstorming, conceived while they were out in the cold, struggling to come up with the perfect surprise. Sean approached his sister, presenting the box, "For you." Arabella, unaccustomed to Sean's newfound politeness and gentleness, reached out to accept the gift and said, "Thanks, Sean." Hearing his sister repeatedly call him by his first name, Sean suddenly understood why his brothers always rushed home at every opportunity to spend time with her. Her voice had a way of touching one's soul. Who wouldn't want to be home every day if they had a sister like her? Compared to the agile, cool-faced girl she once was, his sister was now the picture of obedience. "Bella, go on, open it and see what Sean got you." The others were getting curious. "Such a big box, surely it's not jewelry or anything of that sort?" "Sean, with your love for betting on stones, you didn't give her a rock, did you?" "No way, a stone would be too heavy for Bella to even lift." Stewart, overhearing this, forced a helpless smile. Mr. and Mrs. Collins probably had no idea how strong their daughter could kick. Despite her slender frame, she could probably lift a 200-pound barbell if she wanted to. With everyone's eyes on her, Arabella untied the ribbon and lifted the lid of the gift box to reveal a pair of boxing gloves. The room filled with confused faces. Sean's smile was both wicked and charming. "The best boxing gloves in the world. Once you're ever upset, you can take it out on me." Everyone was rendered speechless. Louisa almost choked on her breath, nearly passing out from exasperation. "Or 2 times, Sean added, immediately drawing a round of playful jeering from the crowd. "What on earth is this gift? Your sister is so delicate, why would you give her this? She doesn't look like someone who would hit her brother, now does she? I was expecting at least a dress or a pair of shoes, but you're going to be the death of me. All those car keys, house deeds, and you give her this. Can't you think of something a girl would actually like?" Belinda chimed in, unable to hold back. "Perfume, jewelry, clothes, shoes, bags, anything but this." "Boy, Sean, at this rate, you're not only going to be her least favorite brother, but you'll also never find a girlfriend." Darren felt a headache coming on just thinking about it. "I really like it, thank you, Sean." Arabella accepted the gift with grace and confidence. Sean, who was starting to feel a bit of regret from the crowd's reaction, suddenly felt redeemed by his sister's approval. "Really?" "Yeah." Arabella offered a smile. "But I won't use them to hit you." Upon hearing this, Sean joked, "Well, if you find them uncomfortable, feel free to just use your fists." "Would you just shut it?" Louisa was dying to make him go back and buy a different gift. "Do you think your sister is like you, living a life full of fighting and killing? This is just a homecoming gift, there's still the New Year's gift, right?" Kenneth quickly intervened, while shooting Sean a look that clearly said, "The New Year's gift is something different, isn't it?" Yeah, Sean's got a New Year's gift as well. Something he spent ages choosing, definitely not like this one." Stewart hurriedly tried to smooth things over. After hearing that Sean had also prepared a New Year's gift for Bella, Louisa's discontent finally subsided a bit. Good for him, showing some sincerity. "Hey, how about we add each other on WhatsApp?" Sean took out his phone. No matter what, he needed to secure his sister's contact info first, rather than going around cap in hand, with no one willing to cough it up. Arabella opened her QR code for him to scan. Once they were friend, Sean happily labeled her contact as Bella, and then asked, "What's your cell number?" Arabella spoke a string of digits. After Sean called her to confirm, he said with indulgent affection, "This is my number. Hit me up anytime you need something." I never thought Sean would be the earliest bird back home this year. Kenneth chuckled. "I was betting on him to be the last one again." "Mr. Collins, you got it all wrong about Sean. He rushed back just to see Bella, even before he was fully recovered." Stewart chimed in with a timely compliment. Kenneth's mood brightened even further at his words. Turning to Sean, he said, "Since it's New Year, you should take the chance to rest up and spend some quality time with Bella. That's the plan. Sean was eager to make his sister happy and salvage his tarnished image. Alright, you two catch up. I'm going to check on the kitchen crew, see if they can whip up a few extra dishes, Louisa said as she stood up. It's not every day Sean's home. Maybe I should show off my cooking skills. Kenneth followed Louisa's lead. Let's not risk it. The kid's already hurt. We don't want a case of food poisoning on our hands. As their figures receded into the distance, Eunice suggested, Bard, why don't we take Mom and Dad for a little tour around the place? It had been quite a while since their last visit, and some parts of the house had changed dramatically. Bard, supporting Darren, and Eunice, linking arms with Belinda, left the room, leaving Sean to finally address his sister with concern. You haven't answered my question. He had refrained from pressing her in front of the family just now. About that explosion at the unfinished building, did you get hurt? Sean fixed his gaze on his sister. He had shielded her during the fall, hitting his head and only catching a blurry glimpse of her bleeding arm as she walked away. At that moment, he had wanted her to stay, but then he blacked out. Now, he wondered if it had been a hallucination or if she really had been injured. It's nothing serious. Arabella's calm reply allowed Sean to zero in. So, you were really hurt? Your arm, was it here? As Sean moved to examine the injury, Arabella withdrew her hand. The family doctor already took care of it. When did it happen? How'd you get hurt? Sean tried to recall, but when he had been pulling his sister out of the building, he hadn't noticed any injuries on her. When did it happen? Arabella remembered being dragged down the stairs by him, the bullets whizzing past, grazing her arm. But not wanting to worry Sean, she simply said, wasn't paying attention, not sure how it happened. The doctor said it's nothing, it'll heal soon. Seeing his sister's face remain as stoic and strong as ever, Sean couldn't help but wonder what she had been through over the years, to be so composed even after a bullet wound. Sean, you're still recovering. You should smoke less, Arabella showed her concern. Back at the building, when Sean arrived on the 18th floor, there was a faint smell of tobacco on him. Back then, he had just undergone surgery. Sean didn't expect his sister to have noticed such a detail and happily declared, I'll quit. I'm done with it. Steward's eyes bulged, unsure if he had heard right. Quit, just like that? With Sean's heavy addiction, could he really do it? Miss Bella's simple words was able to make him quit smoking. You haven't told me, why are you so fixated on that island? Sean wondered. That island was nothing but overgrown with weeds, yet his sister seemed oddly interested. It's because the island is teeming with rare herbs. Sean was floored by the revelation. Take for example the hairy vein agrimony on the island. I used to need a dozen different plants to mimic 80% of its effects, but that island is full of hairy vein agrimony. No need for me to go through all the trouble of concocting it. How did you even know that stuff was there? Some folks spotted what looked like hairy vein agrimony floating in the sea after that last megastorm. Investigations later revealed the island was a goldmine of rare herbs. Steward's eyes widened in shock, having never imagined that the weeds on that island could be so precious. No wonder Bella was hellbent on getting her hands on it. Elle's Island's got this unique climate, perfect for nurturing the most delicate of herbs. I want to buy it and transfer my own garden there. It'll be a research haven. Sean had an epiphany. So that was why she was after the island. It had real significance. His sister, a veritable genius in the medical field, dabbling in research was only natural. Recalling how he'd tried to make things difficult for her, refusing to let her get the island too easily, even inviting her to his island for a talk, hoping to scare her and watch her make a fool of herself. Steward, too, seemed to recall the stunt, observing Miss Collins's reaction with a mix of embarrassment and anxiety. Even though Miss Collins emerged unscathed that night, with the island's animals bizarrely heeding her every command, it was still a prank and they feared she might hold a grudge. Sean, we've got plenty of hands in Belloria who could help Miss Collins with her herb planting. Steward blurted out, eager to change the subject. Sean thought it was a good idea, turning to his sister, what do you think? Some herbs are fickle, they need constant care. Too heavy or too light a touch and they die. I've already arranged for people to handle it. Sis, do you have some other identity that I don't know about? Her ease in commanding people, her constant entourage, no ordinary person could boast such skill or influence. Who was she, really? You'll find out in time. Arabella said without boasting or revealing her identity. Sean, you sure have some unique tastes in pets, keeping ones that are so different from everyone else. Sean felt a chill. He was done for. He shot Stewart a look, and Stewart felt the same sense of doom, sensing Miss Bella was about to settle scores. What now? Could he make an excuse and get out of there in time? He wasn't about to take the fall for this. Then it hit him. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he blurted out, Miss Collins, Sean's got a bunch of islands at his disposal. Yeah. Sean chimed in, desperate, pick any you like, they're yours for the choosing. Arabella's lips curled into an amused smile. If you're charging that much for a weed-infested rock, I doubt I could afford the others. Hey, they're all on the house. Sean was clearly on edge. No need. Getting an island from you is a big deal as it is. Thanks for not fleecing me and leaving me in the woods for the beasts to tear me apart. Sis. Sean was dying to ask if it wasn't too late to get down on his knees and beg for forgiveness. In the chilly air, Stewart was continuously wiping sweat from his brow. Miss Collins, you've got it all wrong. Sean's been digging into that clinic fire all along. Some folks are sly as foxes, hiding their tails. Just as we were closing in on some clues, you went and rescued that kid from the cage. Truth is, if you hadn't stepped in, Sean would have ordered us to save the kid. We were just waiting for the key suspect to show, and the very next second, we'd have made our move. So, I screwed up your plan? Arabella quipped, clearly amused. Stewart was a nervous wreck, thinking, man, Miss Collins can be intimidating. He glanced at Sean, mentally tossing the ball into his court as if to say, I've lost my voice, man. Your turn. Sean, panicking, didn't know what to say and snapped at Stewart. What are you talking about? We're the ones who scared her. Besides, she was investigating the fire too, doing her part in secret. She's the unsung hero of the family. Turning to Arabella after that, Sean tried to appease her with a desperate charm. It's all my fault. Hey, you've got those boxing gloves in hand, take a swing at me. Arabella couldn't help but suppress a smile, pretending to stay silent. If only his sis would agree to hit him, that'd be fine. But what if she stayed quiet like this? He was tempted to wire another $5 million to David and beg for advice on how to soothe his sister's anger. I wasn't there to investigate the clinic fire. Arabella finally threw him a lifeline. Sean grabbed the chance. Then what were you doing there? What else could it be if she was spotted in a place as chaotic as the Demon Ring? I went to get a medicinal herb, I just happened to see you with someone. Hearing this, Sean cut her off. Sis, let me explain, it's not what you think. Stewart was beyond mortified, thinking Sean's reputation was beyond saving. Even a miracle worker couldn't fix this mess. There's no need to explain your personal life to me, Sean. No, that woman was trying to drug me, she's a hitman, she wanted to kill me. That exciting, huh? Sean was baffled. Exciting? His sister truly was one of a kind. Miss Collins, Sean's got a lot of enemies out there. He might come off as a bit of a jerk, but that's just his armor. Sean thought, who are you calling a jerk? Don't think I can't hit you with my sister's presence. Stewart racked his brain to rehabilitate Sean's image. Miss Collins, you didn't see him when we thought you were kidnapped. He ripped out his four and raced to the abandoned building. When they tricked Sean into believing you were dead, the grief on his face was enough to make even a tough guy like me want to cry. He really cares about you. Shut up, Sean cringed at the cheesiness. Would his sister think it was as cringeworthy as he did? Hearing that Martha's people had lied to Sean about her death, Arabella looked at him and saw a vulnerability that was so unlike his usual confident demeanor. All right, Arabella said, lightening up, let's call it water under the bridge. Both Sean and Stewart exchanged glances, barely containing their urge to jump up and celebrate. Had his sis forgiven him? Was she really not holding a grudge? Sean felt, once again, that his sister was the best. Hey, you two, wash up. Dinner's ready. Steward, you join us. Louisa called out from the kitchen. Come on, it's chow time. Sean said with a skip in his step, trailing behind Arabella, his face lit up with excitement. Steward let out a sigh of relief and a smile spread across his face. At the dinner table, everyone gathered around as Sean ladled some soup for Arabella and set the bowl in front of her. At the same time, Arabella scooped up a portion of the mashed potatoes that the housekeeper brought out and placed it in front of Sean. This simple exchange touched Sean deeply. How could his sister be so sweet, so caring? Thanks, sis. All right, let's dig in, everyone. Sean and Steward have been out in the cold for too long. Eat up and get warm. Bella, make sure you have plenty too. Kenneth beamed cheerfully. Let's have a toast first, shall we? It's been ages since Mom and Dad, and my brother and his wife have come over for dinner. It's so nice to have everyone together. Louisa lifted her wine glass in the air. The others promptly raised their glasses in agreement. Sean picked up an empty glass, poured some lemonade for his sister, and took away the wine glass in front of her. Kids shouldn't drink alcohol. The clinking of glasses filled the room, and once they were empty, Darren served some food, bending over to place them in Arabella's bowl. Sean had just set a piece of chicken on Arabella's plate when he noticed that everyone had instinctively served her first. By the time his turn came, her plate was piled up like a little mountain, and his piece of chicken had no space to rest. It would just roll off. Steward couldn't help but notice how much affection Miss Collins received from her family. The simple act of serving food clearly showed that she was treated like a princess. Is that for me? Arabella reached out with her spoon. Sean happily placed the chicken on her spoon. For you. What else would you like? I'll get it for you. It's okay. I already have plenty and can't finish it. Why don't you eat while it's still warm? Arabella responded, then turned her attention to Steward. Help yourself to more. Thanks, Miss Collins, I surely will, Steward replied, not expecting to be dining at the table with them. After the journey with Sean, he was famished. As Sean took a bite of mashed potatoes, Louisa teased, So, how does it taste, eating a meal served by Dr. Bell, Maestro Melody, Mirabelle, and Labella? Upon hearing it, Sean froze. Steward, mid-bite with cheeks puffed, stared wide-eyed. Miss Collins was what? Beyond being Dr. Bell, she had all these other titles? That was seriously impressive. Sitting there feeling like a fish out of water, Steward wondered if he even deserved to be at this table. Was it too late to retreat to a corner with his plate? Sean looked incredulously at his sister as everyone else laughed. That's what you get for not coming home. Your sister's accomplishments are overwhelming, aren't they? Let me tell you, her credentials go way beyond these. You'll find out in time. Don't tell him everything yet. Let him figure out the rest on his own. Exactly. Sean suddenly felt he didn't deserve even passing the mashed potatoes to his sister at the dinner table. It finally dawned on Steward why Miss Collins carried herself with such aloof pride when she first walked in. She had the chops to back it up. Sean's no slouch either. He's got a Midas touch with international economies, a sharp eye for investments, and he's got connections in the legal field and the underground world. Plus, he's into racing, skydiving, rock climbing, you name it, he does it. Extreme sports are like kids' play to him. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Ha ha ha. Steward meant to sing Sean's praises, but a look from Sean shut him up. That look said it all, zip it. Compared to his sister, who was a top dog in every field, his hobbies sounded frivolously unserious. Always fooling around with this and that. You're her brother, time to show some gravitas, Louisa chided gently yet fondly told Arabella. Bella, have some more. Sean's already making waves back in Belloria, his reputation's thunderous, puts my younger self to shame. Bard lifted his glass to drink with his nephew, eyes shimmering with pride and recognition. The achievements I and Bard had at our age, Sean's managed at his, and all by himself. Eunice arched her crimson lips into a stunning smile, drinking with Sean. How many could make the legal and underground worlds stand at attention at such a young age? I think Sean's quite remarkable too. Arabella picked up her glass of lemonade for a toast. Here's to Sean. Sean hadn't expected such praise and acknowledgement from his sister, and he drained his glass in one happy gulp. "Every Collins is a diamond in the rough," Darren said with a beaming grin. "Absolutely, whether men or women, each one is a young achiever." Belinda's smile was full of contentment. "Including Ms. Serena Collins, who, under Mr. Kenneth Collins and Mrs. Louisa Collins's meticulous guidance, has been exceptional since she was little." Steward's comment, out of the blue, caused Kenneth and Louisa's smiles to freeze on their faces. Not just them. Even Darren, Belinda, Bard, and Eunice lost their smiles. The harmonious and joyful atmosphere vanished, replaced by a strange silence. Steward had intended to compliment them on their excellent upbringing. Even the adopted daughter was raised so well, but seeing this scene, he was completely taken aback. What's going on? Did he say something wrong? Was Serena off limits? He looked at Sean as if asking, "What's happening here?" Sean's face said, "How would I know?" "She's no longer part of this family," Louisa suddenly declared. Steward's eyes bulged, baffled. What did that mean? Kicked out of the family? Sean looked equally surprised. "Let's talk about this after dinner," Louisa said, not wishing to dampen the mood over her. "Come on, let's eat." Darren tried to lift the spirits, reaching for the roast chicken first. Others followed suit, picking at their food, sipping their soup. Although there was still conversation and laughter, the vibe had shifted palpably from before. Steward shivered slightly, suddenly finding his food tasteless. Ever since Serena's name was mentioned, a shadow seemed to fall over the gathering. It was all because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Why did he have to mention Serena? It was clear he hadn't thought before he spoke. After an anxiety-filled dinner, where Steward barely managed to keep his composure, he risked a glance at Sean, who seemed to have a lightbulb moment and surmised, "Is it about the whole mess with Martha and Bella's kidnapping?" The others were caught off guard by his quick connection of the dots. "Indeed, it is related." Kenneth nodded. "Come to the study with me." He didn't want to rehash the footage from that unfinished construction site again. No need to upset the rest. Sean, sensing the gravity of the situation, stood up to follow his father. He remembered when he'd gone to that derelict building looking for Bella. They had told him she was dead, had fallen from the building. He was so enraged, he wanted to blow the place sky high. But before he could act on that impulse, he had hoped to find his sister's body. At that moment, Martha had fallen from the building. He wondered, why was a servant of the Collins family like Martha even there? Later, when he learned that Bella was alive and that, aside from his own plans, another group had also rigged the building with explosives set to detonate soon. He didn't think twice, he just acted to save his sister. Now, with a moment to reflect, he wondered when had Martha left the Collins family? How did she end up in Belloria, entangled in Bella's kidnapping? Steward didn't follow Sean. After all, this was a family matter. After watching the footage in the study, Sean was seething with rage. He couldn't believe the extent of suffering Bella had endured before he arrived at the construction site. Slaps, whippings, threats. What truly sent him over the edge was the conversation between Bella and Martha. He was livid to realize that since the day his sister had returned home, Martha and Serena had harbored ill intentions, targeting her at every turn. Worse, when Martha decided to scar Bella's face, Serena didn't intervene. Instead, she ordered Martha to carve deeper and demanded Bella to kneel and bow to her. Having seen everything, Sean kicked the desk with explosive fury, like a pressure cooker on the verge of bursting. That's what happened, Kenneth concluded, making it clear that not just he but the entire family was deeply disappointed in Serena. They no longer wanted this adopted daughter and were ready to cast her out. "Is she in the basement?" Sean asked, anger lacing his voice. Before Kenneth could answer, Sean stormed out. Kenneth had a bad feeling and called out, "Sean, where are you going?" Betty, who was guarding the basement, trembled at the sight of Sean's uncontainable fury. "Mr. Collins." "Open the door," Sean demanded, his face grim. Betty, frightened, fumbled with the keys as if they had a mind of their own. When the door swung open, Betty saw the girl lying on the floor, barely clinging to life, fear and surprise flickering in her eyes at the sight of Sean. "Sean." Serena's voice was weak. She hadn't eaten for a long time, no water, no treatment for her wounds, which had led to a fever. Looking at the girl before him, Sean found it impossible to reconcile her with the person from the surveillance footage. The Serena he remembered was innocent and kind, with a clear and sunny smile, always clinging to Clark and David, rarely coming to him. Perhaps because he was barely at home, had a temper, and didn't spend much time on personal bond with the family members. He was more inclined to deal with the family's practical problems. Of course, he did care for his sister, and he'd always been responsive to her requests. Sometimes Sean would think that she was a bit manipulative, but she was his sister after all, so he let it slide. Who could have imagined the face on the surveillance footage? When his biological sister first came back to the family, he thought all sisters were like Serena, all mind games and clinginess, maybe even relentless. Fresh to high society, she likely felt timid and out of place. At that time, he was nursing a serious injury, hanging on to life by a thread, and had no energy to deal with her or cater to her feelings. He dreaded a girl's tears. What if she was a crybaby? As word got around that she was becoming the family's darling, he figured she must be playing a game more sophisticated than Serena's. Otherwise, how could she have won everyone over so quickly? Turned out his sis had real skills, a unique charm that captivated everyone. She was nothing like the sister in his head. Watching Serena, he suddenly realized that Serena was leagues behind. Bella was subtle yet formidable, wise and resolute, with solid morals and integrity. Serena, on the other hand, was two-faced, malicious, and morally bankrupt. Your real mom humiliated my sister, and now that she's gone, you'll pay her debts. Perhaps not expecting such ruthless words from Sean, Serena looked stunned and hurt. She was already down, unable to get up, and here he was, ready to hit her on behalf of Arabella? Suddenly, her resentment towards Arabella bubbled up again. Considering we were once a family, is asking for 20 slaps too much? To a stranger, death would be too kind, but considering they lived together for 18 years, played siblings for that long. Sean turned to Betty. Ever hit someone? Betty shook her head in fright. Here's your chance. Go on, get some practice. Sean couldn't be bothered to do it himself. He had grapes to peel for his sister and didn't want to get his hands dirty. Betty knew how Sean was. If he said to do something, it had to be done. Trembling, she stepped forward, and although she found Serena's actions despicable, she hesitated to strike. After all, she had once seen Serena as her boss. Serena knew she was an outsider to this family. Even after 18 years, once the truth came out, past affections meant nothing. She knew pleading was useless. Tears streamed down as she weakly cried out, "Sean. What are you waiting for?" Sean's patience was running thin. "Forgive me," Betty steeled herself and slapped Serena, the sound echoing through the air. Serena's cheek reddened from the blow, lying on the floor like a fish on a chopping board, helpless. "Haven't had your breakfast? Has the Collins family been treating you poorly?" Sean wasn't satisfied with Betty's strength. Just then, another voice rang out, "Sean." Followed by another, "Sean?" It was Arabella and Stewart, rushing over after hearing from Kenneth that Sean had gone to the basement to settle scores with Serena. "Sis, what are you doing here? It's dirty and smells. Go upstairs, I'll peel you some grapes later." Sean's doting tone for Arabella only highlighted the sadness in Serena's defeated smile. Once upon a time, Sean had showered her with the same affection, but then, when he found out she wasn't his real sister, was this the treatment she deserved? Did that mean if Arabella ever made a mistake in the future, or if it turned out she wasn't his real sister, there was a good chance she'd end up receiving the same harsh treatment? "I'm just here for the show." Arabella's sudden interjection caught everyone off guard. "Carry on." Arabella had no intention of pleading for Serena. Instead, she stood outside the door, a cool and detached observer of the unfolding drama. Stewart looked at Arabella with admiration. Miss Collins was truly one of a kind. Serena was seething. If only Arabella had put on a show of pleading on her behalf, she wouldn't seem so despicable. "I'll teach her a lesson for you." Sean patted Arabella on the head before turning to Stewart. "You take over. This one's running on an empty stomach and doesn't have the strength." Betty was on the verge of tears. She had used all her strength and still couldn't satisfy Sean. Stewart was no stranger to meting out punishment, and he knew how to deliver a blow with just the right force. Seeing Sean's cold indifference towards his supposed sister Serena, Stewart couldn't help but speculate. Had Serena committed some unforgivable sin to disappoint and anger the entire family this much? Was she involved in that notorious derelict building kidnapping case? Could she be plotting against Miss Collins? "Are you going to start or not?" Prompted by Sean's command, Stewart stepped forward and began to slap Serena across the face repeatedly. The first few slaps alone were enough to draw blood from Serena's mouth, ringing in her ears, and stars in her eyes. Stewart was not holding back. Serena's face swelled with bruises, and in no time, she passed out. "Sean, she's out cold." She really couldn't take it. He had only given her a dozen slaps. "Isn't there ice water in the outdoor fountain? Fetch some and throw it on her," Sean said, devoid of any sympathy. The outside was freezing, and some of the fountain water had turned to crushed ice. Betty filled a bucket and took it inside, riding the elevator down to the basement. Louisa saw her but said nothing, as if she didn't see a thing. When the ice water hit Serena, she shook instinctively and let out a soul-shattering scream, jolting awake and trembling terribly. "Continue," Sean said in a tone devoid of emotion. Stewart slapped her another dozen times. Serena had become numb, the feeling of the slaps on her face as if they were happening to someone else. The crisp sound of each slap grew distant, and in a haze, she thought she saw a white fog, with Martha's figure faintly looming. Was she dying? Was that why she saw Martha? Was it a hallucination, or was it real? Seeing Serena lying there with her mouth slightly open, a vacant gaze fixed on the ceiling, barely clinging to life, Betty nervously spoke up, "Stewart, that was more than 20 slaps. You've gone over." "Did I?" Stewart paused, looking at Serena's numb state. "Sorry, I got carried away." Slowly, tears of anger and shame began to fill Serena's eyes as if she had snapped back to reality, showing a flicker of life. "Arabella is my sister. Whether you're alive or a ghost, stay away from her. If you dare bother her again, as a living person I'll make your life a living hell, as a ghost, I'll scatter your soul to the winds. Remember that." Sean finished his warning, and as he turned back to Arabella, his gaze softened into pure adoration. "Come on, let's head upstairs for some fruit." Arabella nodded, following Sean closely. The basement door locked behind them, and Serena lay submerged in the icy water, her fists clenched in humiliation as tears overflowed from her eyes. In the living room, Sean carefully peeled the skin off a grape, trying his best to be gentle, yet the surface of the fruit still ended up looking pitted and rough, not smooth at all. He had never peeled fruit for himself before. Firstly, because he found it bothersome, and secondly, because the servants usually prepared the fruit, peeling it and presenting it ready to eat. He hadn't even peeled the likes of lychees before. What a mess! Sean was dissatisfied with his peeled grape, and tossed it into the trash before attempting another. Peeling grapes was proving to be much trickier than dealing with people. At the rate he was going, he could have taken down a few foes. "Your sister is lucky to even get one grape peeled by you." Louisa was also peeling grapes for Arabella, her movements swift. In no time at all, she had a small pile of perfectly peeled grapes, smooth and shiny, which she placed onto Arabella's glass fruit plate. Without realizing it, she had already prepped a good 7 or 8. "When I'm not home, you must spoil Bella rotten with peeled fruit. Now that I'm back, can't you let me shine for once? You're overshadowing me. What's the point of me even trying?" After his comment, Sean turned to Kenneth. "Dad, after dinner, can't you and Mom take a stroll in the garden? Enjoy the scenery? Bond a little. I was worried about keeping your sister waiting." Before Louisa could finish, Kenneth interceded with a chuckle. Right, Sean's got a point. We haven't taken a walk in ages. With the family visiting, let's all go for a walk after dinner. Get some fresh air. A few extra laps might help us stay in shape." Sean added, "We've got Bella's wedding reception to think about. It would be a real shame if you two showed up with a beer belly or out of shape." Kenneth and Louisa agreed, realizing the importance of staying fit, not just for the distant wedding reception but also for the grand welcome-back party they wanted to throw for Bella during the holidays. A potbelly was not an option. "Then you better get to peeling for your sister, and quick." Don't keep her waiting. Louisa advised before standing up to leave, I'll go call Bard and Eunice. I'll get your coat, it's chilly outside, Kenneth added as he went to prepare. Only Sean, Arabella, and Stewart remained in the living room. Stewart felt like he shouldn't be there and, checking the time, said timidly, So Sean, if there's nothing else, may I take my leave? What, you're waiting for me to peel you a grape? Classic Sean. Stewart swallowed hard and glanced at Arabella. Well, Miss Collins, I'll be off then. Take care. After Stewart left, only the siblings were present. Sean had carelessly mentioned the wedding reception, which was like rubbing salt into Arabella's wounds. He glanced at his sister, feeling a bit guilty. Timothy had just broken up with her. Although Arabella seemed nonchalant, snacking on grapes, Sean knew she must be hurting inside. Sis, it's just us now. If you're feeling down, go ahead and cry it out. My shoulder's here for you. Arabella was perplexed. I know about your boyfriend. He started, about to mention the breakup with Timothy, but then he reconsidered and said, He's not good enough for you. Arabella looked even more confused. Romeo not good enough for her? Then who was? I think he was good for me. Her indifferent response stopped Sean's peeling mid-motion. What had Timothy done to capture his sister's heart so thoroughly that she still had a favorable impression of him, even after the breakup? No, he had to find a way to help his sister completely forget about him.
For listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.